Starfield isn't the only much awaited role-playing game this year. Baldur's Gate 3 shares the spotlight as it's finally releasing after 6 years of development and 3 years of early access. The game is already being celebrated for its complex but incredibly fun mechanics, detailed character customization, and immersive world building. So chances are, you clicked on this video because you're interested in Baldur's Gate 3, but are not entirely sure what you can expect from this absolutely massive game, that according to Larian Studios, has 174 hours of cinematics alone, which as a fun fact, is more than twice the length of every season of Game of Thrones combined. Now let that number sink in. This game is absolutely gigantic, which is why I'm here to explain the fundamentals of the game's concept, gameplay elements and story setting. With that being said, let's get started. The absolute basics you need to know is that Baldur's Gate 3 is the third main game in the Baldur's Gate series and is developed and published by Larian Studios, the masterminds behind the critically acclaimed Divinity game series. The game is set in the Forgotten Realms, a setting of the Dungeons & Dragons tabletop role-playing game, and is launching on August 3rd this year, 3 weeks earlier than originally planned. Players navigate through a massive interactive world, making choices that shape the storyline and character development. While this game uses elements from Dungeons & Dragons, it is not Dungeons & Dragons. It is more like an improved and much bigger Divinity Original Sin, but with D&D elements. Also something worth noting, the events in Baldur's Gate 3 take place 100 years after Baldur's Gate 2, so there are no direct connections, except for some familiar characters you can meet. So you're absolutely fine buying this game without having played the previous 2 games. With the very basics covered, let's take a closer look at the game. Baldur's Gate 3 allows you to control a party of characters. You will assemble a diverse group of fantasy heroes and explore their personal histories while pursuing the main storyline. This gameplay style mirrors Larian's Divinity Original Sin 2. Much like in Divinity 2, you can begin the game either as an origin character, which are unique, fully voice-acted characters crafted by the developers, each equipped with their own rich and distinctive backstories and dialogue elements. Or, alternatively, you have the option to create a completely customized character from the ground up. It should probably be said at this point that voice acting in this game is nothing short of incredible, like you would expect from a Larian game.
Well said. Shall we get on then? A useful goblin. Sounds too good to be true.
Voice acting isn't the only thing in this game that is remarkable. Combat was already really good and satisfying in Divinity 2, but the developers raised the bar to an entirely new level in this game. There are more than 600 spells and actions and 308 different passive features, which are similar to talents in Divinity 2. I'll try to explain the various combat elements and aspects as briefly and coherent as possible. The game incorporates turn-based combat, influenced by the dice-rolling mechanics of D&D. Each character, including both the player characters and enemies, take turns in a sequence determined by a roll of the dice at the start of combat, known as an initiative roll. On each character's turn, they can take one action, such as attacking, casting a spell or using an item, move a certain distance, and potentially take one bonus action or reaction, depending on their abilities and situation. The outcomes of actions, like attacking or casting certain spells, are often determined by a simulated dice roll, much like in D&D. For example, to hit an enemy with an attack, you might need to roll a certain number on a 20-sided die, with bonuses based on a character's abilities. Your character's race and class determine many of the abilities in combat. For example, a rogue might have the ability to deal extra damage when they have the advantage in combat, while a wizard can cast a wide array of spells. Baldur's Gate 3 also allows for interactions with the environment during combat. You might push enemies off a cliff, drop a chandelier on them, or use various objects in the environment to your advantage. This sort of environmental interaction is encouraged in D&D as well. Larian Studios is known for their excellent storytelling in the Divinity series. There is a strong focus on narrative, with well-written dialogues, interesting characters and complex intertwining plot threads. Replayability is also a crucial aspect of many video games, especially role-playing games like Baldur's Gate 3. The range of possible character builds is seemingly endless, and each one can offer a different gameplay experience. The decisions you make in Baldur's Gate 3 can have a significant impact on the story. Choices made in dialogue, the quests you choose to undertake, the ways you solve problems, all of these can lead to different outcomes, affecting the world around you and the way characters interact with you. This makes it tempting to replay the game to see how different choices could lead to different outcomes. Throughout the game, you'll meet several characters who can join your party. Each of these characters is unique, with their own backstory, personality and skills. Different party compositions can lead to different dynamics in combat, different available solutions to problems, and different interpersonal interactions. The story in Baldur's Gate 3 isn't linear. Based on your choices and actions, you can experience different story arcs, meet different characters, and explore different areas. This essentially means that the second or third or fourth playthrough can uncover new content that you didn't see the first time around. Finally, a big part of the fun in games like Baldur's Gate 3 is experimenting with different strategies, tactics and character builds. You might want to replay the game just to try out a new strategy or character build that you thought of. I believe it can be said that Baldur's Gate 3 is one of the most ambitious RPGs in recent years, and if you're in for a mix of D&D elements mixed with a Divinity 2 styled game, an extremely well-crafted world and characters where your choices matter and offers great replayability, Baldur's Gate 3 definitely is a must-play for any role-playing enthusiast. Consider leaving a like if this video was helpful. See ya!